Hi everyone, it's Jenny here. This is just a short video to give you some tips for learning Portfolio A. This is your very first piece of written assessment for prep skills, so obviously you want to do a really good job of that, and hopefully you'll find this video helpful. So you'll see that it's due at the end of week 4. It's worth 30%, and that it's based on modules 1 to 3 from your study guide. But you don't have to wait till you have completed all of those modules before you start this. The whole idea is that you can build these portfolios gradually. When you've finished all the readings and activities from Module 1, for example, then you can go to the relevant questions from Learning Portfolio A and fill in your responses there. Save that file, and then you can come back to that when you've finished all of Module 2, and so on. So it really does build progressively, and it should not be an assignment that stresses you out. So let's have a look at where we can find the details about this. The two main places that you should always go to find assessment details are your course profile and Moodle. So let's have a look at your course profile first of all. That's the document that you should be printing off for each of your subjects, because it has really important information about what assignments you've got and when they're due. So you'll see that there's some general information here about the assignment, that it's not an essay, but it is a series of short answers. You'll see that you can use first person for this. That means it's perfectly acceptable to talk about I, my, myself, because of the nature of this writing, where it'd be very hard to write self-reflections without using first person. You'll see that formal referencing is not required. Now that's a little bit confusing because further down here in the course profile there's reference to the Harvard Referencing Guide. But that's because it's a set feature of this course profile system. We are not actually expecting you to use formal referencing in this course. That doesn't mean that you can copy words from the web or from the study guide or Cottrell and just put them in your assignment and not acknowledge that they are the words of other people. You have to be very careful about academic integrity. This is plagiarism if you just copy and paste without acknowledging the words of others or the source of those words. If you do see a quote that you'd like to use, whether it's something from Cottrell or a website, you can use direct quotes, put the words in quote marks and just indicate in some way, just in brackets, Cottrell or wherever it is where you did get that quote from. But generally, we're looking to see you put things into your own words for this. So let's have a look on Moodle then and see what's what there. You'll see in this information block that that's where you can download a copy of your course profile. There are other ways that you can do that, but that's where you can access it from Moodle. Now the assessment block, as you're realising, is a really key part of any Moodle course site. So this is where you will go to get the further detail about Learning Portfolio A. Let's click on that now. And it's also where you will go to upload your assignment. It says add submission here at the bottom. So when you've completed your assignment, this is also where you will go to do that. So the tips for Learning Portfolio A link is the video we're creating now. There's a task description with the detail of that particular portfolio and the questions you'll be answering. And then there's a template here as well that we give you to make it really easy, and you just fill in your answers into that template. So let's have a look at the details first of all. Now the length is very important, as you'll appreciate. The word length is important at university. Yes, it does matter if you write a whole heap over or if you write way less than that word allocation. We generally say 10% over or under is okay. We already give you a fairly broad range of word lengths there, because we sort of understand that some people will want to write a lot, some people not so much. But 10% more than that is about 1,500 words, so that's okay if you write 1,500 words. I wouldn't write too much more than that. I wouldn't write too much less than 1,000, because I think really you would be getting you would be a bit light on, that the depth just wouldn't be there. So there are further details here that you should read carefully. Please note that we don't require PDF files. It makes it a bit hard for us to give you detailed feedback if you submit a PDF. So please, just Word documents for these submissions. Now you'll see that you're given a guide for how much you might write about each of the modules, each of those, not each of the questions, but for each of the modules. That's just to help you pace yourself. It's the overall word count that really matters. So there are your questions for each of the modules, and of course you'll have to read them very carefully, keep going back to them, and make sure that you are sticking to the topic and that you are completing all parts of those questions. The assessment criteria is always important to check out. This is what the marker will be looking for when they are grading your work. So in particular, I want to draw your attention to that criterion here. We're looking for the depth of thinking. We're looking to see that you're referring to specific concepts that you are learning about in the relevant study guide modules. So when we're looking at your answers to the questions about all of those topics, that's what we're looking for, that depth. So please explain what you mean. Please give lots of examples, or as many as you can fit into the word length, that back up what you're saying, and be really specific about what you mean. So it's not something that you should write from the top of your head. We should see evidence that you really are engaging with the material and you're referring to the concepts that you're learning about. Now, we're not expecting the same level of academic writing skills that you will have to show in your academic writing subjects, but we're still looking to see that you are writing clearly and concisely, and of course that you try and use correct grammar and spelling. Now, there are some tips on how to write these responses. In Module 2, we look at the kinds of reflections and the way that you can frame them for academic purposes. So there's some great tips there in Module 2. And in Module 3, we take a further look at this. There are more tips about how to write your learning portfolio responses, and there's a special section there for people who've written way too much, because sometimes we find that students just have so much to say. Often it is our really engaged students who have given this a lot of thought, and they just have too much to say. So it is important to keep to word limits, so have a look at that section there. There are some pointers on how you might think about reducing your word count. Alrighty, let's have a quick look at the template. So this is what you will download early on. Save it somewhere where you can find it again and label things carefully, otherwise it can be very frustrating when you lose your work. You will have to put your name, obviously, and student number at the top of this, and then it's just a matter of typing in the boxes underneath, and the formatting should all be sorted for you. We do understand that not everybody is confident with their computing skills at this stage, so we just try and take all the stress of that out of it. And the other great thing about this is you can see exactly what those questions are, and again, keep looking back to the question. Make sure you are answering that specific question. And as I said, this is where you will come to upload the finished assignment when you're done, and there is some guidance here. You'll see that there's a section in the Getting Started with CQ University Systems guide. If you're not sure, go back to that, and that will take you through step by step. So lots of support available. Obviously, we want to see you succeed in this first written piece of assessment. And we do get positive feedback from students, because a lot of the things we're asking you to reflect on are just really important things for you to be aware of, and hopefully are going to set you up very nicely for success. So I hope you enjoy that assignment. Don't be scared of it, just get in there and do it, and I really hope you get some valuable learning from that. So best of luck with Learning Portfolio A.